I try to go into classrooms, but they just kick me out. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Well, if you don't go into the classroom late, no I'm kidding.
I guess some say, "Oh, you look like a student." No.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What? On this episode, we discuss standards, campus prep, and budget challenges. All that and more on EdTech. EdTech episode 121, Back to School. Hello, AV friends, and welcome to another episode of EdTech. As always, we have our panel of awesome higher ed AV professionals, Ernie Bailey.
Hello, Erin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and you?
Very good. We're off to a good school start here.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. And joining us also, Rob Rasberry. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Erin, always great to be here.
And Scott Tyner.
Hey, Erin and everyone. Happy end of the summer, early start to school. Ernie, I can't believe you already started classes.
We're in week 2.
Oh, man.
Well, and today, our special guest joining us for this episode is Michael Gunderson from Highland Community College in Northwest Illinois. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. It's glad to be here. I'm like Ernie, I'm not in my second week of classes, but this is the first week.
Well,
so this is day 2.
and I really appreciate you being here.
So far today has been very wacky.
Oh my God.
That's the only word I can use to describe it, is just wacky. It's kind of crazy here on campus, but
I bet.
thanks for the invitation. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. And tell everybody what you do over there.
I am a one-person AV department on a Highland Community College campus. We have 11 buildings here on our campus that have AV equipment in it. Counting what we call presenter PCs, if it's connected to a display of some sort. I have 62 presenter PCs on campus, so that means I have 62 rooms of some sort, whether they are huddle rooms or full-size conference rooms. We have probably about 52 classrooms that are fully equipped with classroom technology, as well as a conference center that's got a 350-seat theater-style 4-into-1 divisible conference room. Plus, I do digital signage and a lot of other things that just happen to pop up.
What do you do in your free time?
Sleep a lot. It gets challenging on occasion. Standardization is key, and I've got a great team of IT people that work with me, not necessarily doing exactly what I do, but when I need help, we all pitch together. We're a small but mighty team.
Well, since you brought up standardization, how about we talk about an article that we read from AV Technology over on avnetwork.com. EdTech Standards Future-Proof ISD for Doubling Enrollment. So one of the quotes in that article was technology should be about how to get back to teaching and instruction in the most innovative way possible that our staff and students can relate to. Now, that is a great way to approach a campus standard. But how, for you guys, what goes into crafting a standard?
We went through this about 2 or 3 years ago. Every classroom we designed was a custom design room. But as we went back and looked, 80 to 85% of the requests were the same for all the rooms. So we came up with a package that meets all of those needs. And we've been rolling that out for a few years now. We got it in most of our classrooms. Just finished one up last week. One online Monday with 0 hitches. And it sped up the time we take to implement a new room. Minimal training for the faculty, because if they've been in one room, they all work the same. They all look just the same. We used to go for, the bells and whistles and what all us AV people love to see, flashing lights and spinning logos and all that. And, I gave a talk a few years ago about, it's not about the wow. Our job in education is to get the students educated. What I tell my staff is, when Dr. Smith leaves her office to come to give a lecture, she's thinking about what she's teaching or anything new. She's not wondering which button she's supposed to push or is there a battery in the microphone? And when the students leave the dorm going to her classroom, they're thinking about their reading material from last night. Did they catch it all, or was something they didn't understand? Not wondering, is the projector going to be in focus, or is there a buzz in the sound system? We want them thinking about the education, and our job is to be invisible and to enhance the teaching. There are times and places for the wow, for all the fancy stuff, but it's not in the classroom when there's a limited amount of time for the teaching.
We don't have a set standard in the sense of there's a written document which tells you every model of whatever that will be in a room. But our standard rooms are the same. They have the same set of equipment. So as Ernie said, you walk in, you know how to use it. It looks familiar. Some of our back-end equipment might change depending on availability or price. We always make sure that anything that we change in the back end is easily, we have more than one on campus, so it's easily swappable and the like. The interesting thing, this article, it made me laugh in two ways. One, Erin, is the exact quote that you read, which is, I think, almost 100% right, that we have to have technology that relates. I'm not sure then saying it has to be the most innovative is also those two. I don't think that that's true, right? It doesn't have to be innovative to relate, but it has to have, it has to be able to get the students to buy into it. The other one is, anytime you give me an article about any type of whiteboard or interactive board, I have a hard time reading it because I found them to be impossible to use. Faculty do not like to use them. But at the same time, and then I realized that those are the faculty that I've grown up with over the years, right? And that there very well may be faculty coming in today who are very much ready to use these, or people in K-12. And so that then reminds me of that piece of that they have to be able to relate to it, which means that maybe I need to start changing about what I relate to.
But we're the same. We haven't been able to get faculty really to buy in to the interactive boards, but it might be that it's kind of the K-12 market more.
That market is very strong in, but yeah, we use it in very few rooms.
We just installed 2 interactive displays in brand new classrooms. We gutted an entire second floor of equipment and did a whole new ceiling renovation and repainting and patching walls and getting rid of old patch panels and things that were in the rooms. And our product champion for those devices left us before the project was completed. So now I've got a floor full of faculty going, what is this and why is it here? And what are we going to do with it? So I'm sitting here just shaking my head when you're talking about getting buy-in. And I'm like, God, I hope they do here. Because we're sitting on these, interactive displays that are now forefront of the front of the classroom, and they're all wondering what they want to do, what they can do with them. So if you have any tips or anything you've tried and that's worked, at least a little bit, please let me know. I'd love to know. But as far as standardization for us or for me, like Scott was saying, it might not be exactly the same switcher that's in every classroom, but the ones that I do have, I make sure I have spares on hand and availability to what I call NASCAR them in and out. You can hit the rack screws, change it out, within between classes if something freezes or whatever. But the user interface on the podiums that we use in our classrooms or our workstations is a simple not really mechanical, but an extron button panel. It doesn't necessarily have to be a touch panel. Touch panels, I think, with multiple pages just makes it harder for the instructor to use and navigate, and they get frustrated with it. So something that says display on, and they're able to change the inputs from a laptop to the dock cam to the podium PC, and then we're good and we're golden. It allows me the opportunity to let them, we've even used the wake on LAN function, so they don't even have to open the cabinet on the workstation at all if they don't want to. So when they hit display on, it actually wakes the PC up, starts it up and they can actually hit the ground running without even opening the cabinet up.
So, to sort of go along with that, two things that I've noticed: keep it simple. Faculty like it simple, and like you said, if they don't have to, Scott, they don't have to think about it, or if they don't have to think about it, and focus on teaching. That's good. The other thing is always get feedback. You don't necessarily you have to recognize it. Some of it is good, some of it is bad, but always get feedback. We had a situation I may have mentioned on the show before where coming sort of out of the pandemic, everybody's coming back. And we had decided that we were going to put up displays to sort of replace projectors. And so then we took it a step further and said, well, why don't we try interactive displays? So in about 20 classrooms, we put up these displays, and some of the feedback was very good. Unfortunately, we put some in older classrooms where there were chalkboards, and a lot of faculty freaked out. You're taking away my whiteboard, chalkboard space, but you can actually write. I don't care. That's what. So we actually had to go in and take a number of these down because we didn't put the survey out properly to all of them to say, hey, would this be valuable to you? So that was sort of a lesson learned. But and again, it seems like the trend has been not innovation, just have it work, and that seems to be the trend for us.
Yeah, I had an unsolicited visit by a instructor. I'll never forget it. It was really a wow moment for me. It was probably after I was there about 6 years. I've been at this for 16 years at Highland now. But he walked into my office one day and he says, Mike, you know what I like about you? I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. He goes, your stuff just works. I'm like, yes. That's what you want. You want them to be able to use it and have a good uptime and a good experience for the instructors. That's what I'm here for. And the students. I want them to be able to teach. I don't care about the equipment, how it is, but I really want it to work for them every single day.
Now, getting feedback about those rooms, that is an excellent segue to another article that we read.
I'm going to start charging you for those, Erin.
I know, right? This article came from Rave Pubs. It's That Time of Year, written by Scott Tyner. So that made your article, Scott, made an excellent point about going into those rooms and kind of using our lens to take a look at how rooms and spaces are being used. And that was an absolutely excellent reminder, and could help shape kind of how your standard ends up going. So that was an excellent segue.
Yeah, no, they tie in. It is funny. All of these articles actually tie in very well together today. This one for me is so interesting because I'm sure we've all sat in these meetings with people, I don't want to name positions because I don't want to get myself in any trouble, but who sit there and talk about what experts they are in classrooms. And you're like, have you ever been in that room? Like they've literally never been in the room. Or they've literally never talked to a professor about how they're teaching. Now, that is one point. The other point is that even if I talk to or get feedback, I still want to watch what they're doing because I'm not sure I can quite say this right, because what they think they might want to do and what we can actually provide them or what they think they saw somebody else doing aren't always the same things. And so, Michael, when we talk about touch screens and the like, and you say, how do I get people to buy in? I'm like, I don't think that's my job to get somebody to buy in. My job is if I walk into a room and I see a science professor spending hours every day drawing these big diagrams on a board, to say to that science professor, hey, do you know we can do X, Y, Z so you don't have to draw them every day? And listen to what they say about, well, but the drawing, they learn stuff as I'm doing it. Okay, well, we can do it into a video. That's my role. And if the guy goes, hey, I'm not interested, then it's not, I view it as not my role to put that in there, right? So I think there's just that piece of watching what people are doing, talking to them, watching how the students are reacting to it. And sometimes it's just standing in a hallway and seeing it. And just really being able to provide our expertise about what we know is happening in that room as opposed to what a bunch of people think is happening in that room.
Yeah, we do. I do the same thing. I'll go into a lecture hall and just sit down in the back for 10 or 15 minutes, just see how they're using the room, see what's going on. Are they using the features that we've put in there? Is there something we could put in that might make it a little bit better? And yeah, we meet with the faculty, and I've got faculty members who will stop me in the hall and say, this is what I want to do. Is there any way we can do that? And a lot of times it's, we have that technology in the room. I just need to show you how to use it. Or it's something we can easily implement. Or maybe it's something we're going to have to look at adding into the next design and upgrading the room or something like that. But if you get to know the faculty and some of the students, I mean, the students are a lot more transient, but you get to know the faculty who've been around a while, they'll start stopping you and asking you questions, and that allows you to build a better facility and have a better working relationship. And then we meet with the faculty leaders. Each dean can assign several people to a monthly meeting that we have. It's called Teaching and Learning Support. The associate deans of all the colleges are invited and usually there, and usually a couple of associate provosts are in the meeting. So they know what's going on. They know that we're listening. Sometimes these are completely gripe sessions about the way the technology works in the room, or the changes that Blackboard has implemented, because it also involves the Blackboard and teaching support teams. We all work closely together to make sure everybody can do what they need to do. Sometimes I'm getting lectures about Zoom. And then there are times where they tell us how much they like what we've done in the room, or they'll tell us what they'd like to see, but it's always a very good conversation by the end, and open communication. And then, like Scott said, sticking your head in the room, looking in the window, or just listening to students when they're walking out of the room. That can be a good indication too. And then we remotely monitor every classroom, so we know what's going on. We know what technology is actually being used, get reports on that. If this button on the touch screen's never pushed, maybe we don't need to have that button anymore. We don't need that feature. That's how we like to work it, and it's been a good working relationship. I've been here for 40 years, so I know. I mean, a couple of the deans on campus were students when I started, so that makes it a little bit different, but gives you a good history with them, and they know that you care about what they're doing.
I try to go into classrooms with they just kick me out. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Well, if you don't go into the classroom late, no, I'm kidding.
Guess some say, "Oh, you look like a student." No, I'm just kidding. So, I mean, I really don't have much else to add to what Ernie and Scott and what you said. One thing sort of on a little bit of a tangent that's interesting is that you get to know some of the faculty so well that they're willing to test things out for you. So, if you have a technology that you think might work or might be useful, they can be your most valuable beta testers.
Definitely.
And one thing that I've learned is like this last InfoComm that I went to, we ran into the Bull Vision people that, and the Synap and all that stuff. And they said, we'll let you do a pilot. And we're like, great, just bring it, ship it, boom. And they shipped it, real quick. And then when it got here, it dawned on us that, hey, we really don't have instructors on campus that can really put it through the works, in the situation that it needs to be. But yes, so, checking on things that work and don't work with the faculty is invaluable.
Yeah, I have to thank you, Scott, for putting that in there, and that you said walk in and see how the student's reacting and the instructor as well. It reminded me that about 7 years ago, when I was really trying to standardize things and get things to be a little more fluent across campus, that I used to do that exact thing. If there was an empty seat in the classroom, I'd sneak in, sit in it, and sit through part of a class and ask the instructor, am I going to be a nuisance if I duck out? But I'd really like to see how you're using the technology, and I haven't done that in a while, and I think it's time to start sticking my nose back in the door and seeing how they're interacting with the current equipment. And like Rob said, finding that one pivotal piece. And I had to laugh when you said that, Rob, about your faculty that can be your test subjects. I have one that every time I have something new, I invite this faculty member down, and they have essentially called themselves the AV crash test dummy. And because they're not very technological. So if that person, if I can use it, everybody can. And it's a great relationship with that faculty member, and it's fun, and they're willing to try new things and go, well, I don't understand this at all. I'm like, okay, that's good. But could you? With some training, do you think it would be beneficial to do what you do? And a lot of times the answer is yes. So that's always a good, find your least technological faculty person and who's interested in, at least open to doing something different, and see if they'll try something for you. It's been a great success for me.
So the last article that we read, it came to us on AVNation.tv, written by Tim Albright, The Higher Ed Technology Storm Brewing. So this one, I actually had a couple quotes in, and a couple other tech managers in higher ed were in there also. And a lot of the things one of the things that we had mentioned that was of concern or was a challenge that we were facing was budget issues. How are you guys handling that sort of challenge?
Wow. Yeah.
Or are you facing other challenges?
There is that storm coming, and, we're seeing operational and budget shrink. So one of the good things that's happened out of this is, at Drexel, there's a lot of different colleges, a lot of different departments, and typically a lot of them have sort of operated separately. And so now we're getting to the point where we're getting our tech, department leaders together and sitting down and saying, hey, if we all work together and buy the same basic stuff, even though I know classrooms are different and operate differently, we can make significant savings by ordering from, one brand or from a couple different brands, but in a way, consolidating our resources together to make a buy for the entire university. Now, I know there's some universities that are already on that, following that path, which is great. But for us, it's really about talking with other departments and saying, hey, how can we, pool our resources to help each other get the equipment, get the devices, get the technology we need. And hopefully, and we're just in the stages of even talking about a universal support RFP where, either have a person that might be hired that sort of is a department agnostic, going around checking, multiple rooms, multiple technologies, or maybe getting that one vendor that can service everything at a better price than what we're getting, at this point. So it's really just about consolidation, I guess, is maybe the best term I can use to hopefully meet that challenge that we're all going to be facing or are facing.
We work it, and this has really been going on for a number of years, but it has turned out to be very beneficial since COVID. Most of our classroom and teaching space is shared among the various colleges. It might be a medicine classroom for a couple of hours, a pharmacy. Right after that, the nursing uses it in the afternoon. Public health or health professions, all share the same space. So therefore, I get a centralized budget for audiovisual upgrades for the shared classrooms. Some departments will want us to come, do that. Maybe they have a room they want to make into their classroom or whatever. Our policy is if you put it on the main scheduling system and make it available campus-wide, we can look at doing it out of our budget or splitting the cost with them. We have rules like it can't be behind two locked doors. So it has to be accessible. It can't be buried in the middle of a department. But we'll work with them, and therefore it gets into our refresh cycle. So once it's done, it's done. Sometimes we have them pay for the first round to get it to our standards. And then after that, we will maintain it as long as they make it available to the campus as a resource. And if they don't want to make it available, we will work with them. They do not get priority scheduling of my staff to design or install the system. They may even have to pay an outside integrator to do the install. I'm working with that with the department right now, that they are such heavy user, it's not practical for them to share the room, but they want it to match our classrooms. So what we're doing is we're taking our standard classroom design, giving it to an AV integrator. They're going to sell the equipment and they're going to come install it. But we're going to come in after that and configure it and install our program. So they're not going to do any programming. They're not doing any engineering. They're doing the install labor and the material supply. So they're getting a little bit better price than they would pay if they got a turnkey system. And they're getting it a lot faster than, if they want us to do it, it has to be after we've done our annual classroom refreshes that we would do in spare time. And, this is also a department that came to us a few weeks ago, said, we'd like to do this. The room's empty to do the renovation next Wednesday from 1 to 3. They wanted a whole new AV system.
Just use the AV Genie. Blink, that's
You
it.
told them I don't need that whole 2 hours.
Yeah. But we sat down and met with them, explained to them how long it would take and how long before we could start if we did it. And here's the deal. When we do it, if my team does it, there is no labor charge. We do not charge back for our labor. We are paid by the university to be the audiovisual team for the campus. But if they need it done faster than we can do it, we can put them in touch with an integrator. The thing about the integrator that we're putting them in touch with, most of them worked for me for a while, so they know how we do things. They know where the restrooms and the cafeteria are, and where to park. So
I just did 11 rooms with that building remodel. 11 rooms. We did 5 interactives, 3 in a different building for adult education, the 2 in this renovation, but a total of 11 rooms and 10 working days with an integrator. So that was, and it's all flawless. So having the right integrator is important. It's my project flow a lot into construction where the AV costs are actually built into the project. I'm really lucky to work with facilities folks and the architects to get floor boxes where you need them and boxes in the walls where you need them. So it's easier for me and or the integrators to put them in. Large scale things where I've got 11 classrooms in 10 days. There's nothing I can do personally to make that happen. Although I did, with the 2.5 hour thing, I did rip out an entire workstation guts and update it to our current standards in 2 hours and 45 minutes,
right.
Just the workstation. So I thought that was a land speed record because that normally took me 4 to 6 hours. So I was really proud of that. But yeah, normally it's funded through the construction projects, but that also is a double-edged sword because then you have that inherited technology debt that I have to deal with for the upgrades. It's paid for through a major bond issuance or a project or a public health and safety fund renovation of a classroom where something's flattened to become more ADA compliant. So I make sure that the AV gets upgraded at the same time because 90% of the time that comes out with the demo of the room. But again, I'm the one that has to support it later. And that's something that has started to creep up on me a little bit. And I think it's going to have to be addressed here on campus because it's quite considerable for some of these projects.
Well, all right, gentlemen. This has been a wonderful conversation and a great episode. And good luck to all. Well, Ernie's already into the semester already, but good luck to all those who are, approaching that time. But before we wrap it up, I would like to, if somebody were to want to reach out after this episode, Ernie, how might they get in touch with you?
LinkedIn is a good way to get in touch with me.
Okay. And how about you, Rob?
Same thing, LinkedIn.
And Scott?
LinkedIn or X. I'm S. Tyner, and on occasion I write for APUB, so you can find me there as well.
And how about you, Michael?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn as well, or you can reach me at through our staff page on our website, highland.edu.
Excellent. And as for me, you can find me here monthly on the EdTech podcast, on the HITMA community, and also on X or LinkedIn. So this has been another great episode. See you next time.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.